the gun. Let's ride.
For a half a century.
This was huge.
It's given us thrills.
Run!
Holy! Inspiration.
Winners find a way. Losers find a way out.
And countless memories.
We all feel like we're probably Super Bowl champions.
The world's largest 10K from its humble beginning.
Threw my $2 in a cigar box.
To the grand Southern spectacle it is today.
It's a huge part of the city and history and tradition.
This is 50 years of Peachtree.
Hello and welcome to what will be a fun hour. We're looking back at the institution, the event, so firmly entrenched in Atlanta culture. It is as much Atlanta as kudzu and sweet tea, the ajc-peachtree-road-race.
It is the world's largest 10K race, and it winds through the streets of Atlanta. There's so much to talk about over the course of the next 60 minutes. The course, the close races, and certainly the history along with the T-shirts as well. I had the opportunity to sit down with 7 of the original 110. There are many clubs in Atlanta of historical importance, but this one more so than any that I can think of right now when it comes to sports. 1970, the ajc-Peachtree-Road-Race, inaugural race that began from Buckhead at the old Sears store. And the first year they did not give out T-shirts. Year number 2, the Carling Peachtree shirt. That thing is still in very good shape. It looks like you could run in that come July 4th.
I wish I could. I have it on the wall in the room we call my museum.
I would think on eBay that will be worth a few dollars.
You know, I haven't tested. I wouldn't give it up for anything.
Here we are. It's 1970. You guys are taking part in a race that is brand new, that nobody knows anything about. Could you have imagined at that time that it would morph into this sort of cultural happening, not only in Atlanta, but the Southeast and the United States for that matter?
When I heard that there was going to be a road race down Peachtree, this was huge, and it gave recognition to our sport that needed recognition. But I have to tell you, I had no vision that it would become what it is. I thought that it would grow maybe to 500 people. How
about a show of hands here? How many thought that this race would last 5 years in Atlanta? Nobody. I mean, you guys thought this was something that was just kind of coming and going like a passing summer thunderstorm.
In 1975, the Atlanta Constitution took over sponsorship, and that turned out to be a brilliant marketing move, because then you had a hype coming up for the race. You had the coverage of the race, and so people brought newspapers the next day.
And one of the things that they promoted heavily was the T-shirt. Win your T-shirt. It's your red badge of courage.
In 1970, the running sort of fad was beginning to kick in, and everybody thought it was a fad, that it was something, you know, jogging had become cool among young people.
I was at Columbia High School in DeKalb County, so I went down there, threw my $2 in a cigar box, and the one thing I remember about the race that was a little difficult was getting behind the MARTA bus. So I ran for about 50 yards on the MARTA bus behind it, and I said, this is enough of this. So I jumped on the curb and just took off for a sprint past the bus and finally stayed ahead of it from there.
Well, some things never change in Atlanta. We still try to run away from MARTA buses.
Well, let me call in Mr. Tim Singleton. It was his idea 10 years ago. Did you ever think it would come to this, or was that really your dream?
Well, there were probably that many people running in Atlanta at that time, but they were too uptight to come run down Peachtree Street.
Tim Singleton was the organizer. I timed it myself and another person on a motorcycle. We were there in Buckhead. They started the gun. I jumped in my car, he on his motorcycle. We went down to the Equitable building.
I recall there was a fountain there that to me looked pretty slimy. The time I got there, pretty far back, people were in that slimy pool cooling off.
I do believe I was told not to jump in the fountain, and I do believe I might have actually jumped in the fountain, if I recall.
They gave us a popsicle stick with our number of finish on it. That's the way they recorded the finish.
And I remember when I finished, my dad came up to me and said, how did you beat us down there? We were in a car. And it just stuck in my mind. And after that, they started coming to my races at high school. I feel like we all feel like we're probably Super Bowl champions because our name is out there. Original 110 has been established. And I just feel like, you know, we have that honor. It is an honor to be a 110.
It was a great pleasure to be able to spend some time with those guys to talk about the way this race was, and for that matter, the way Atlanta was, but is no more.
And the Carling t-shirt is fantastic, a long tradition of the ajc-Peachtree Road Race. Runners get to wear a piece of history when they cross the finish line.
Jerry Carnes gives us a look at the designs and the tradition of the t-shirts.
Who needs a large? Who needs a large? Only in Atlanta is a t-shirt held in such high esteem.
This is 80.
They are collectibles, a symbol of accomplishment.
This one gets worn quite a bit. I don't know why, I guess because it's gray and I can use it around the house.
The 4th of July travels of competitive runner Bill Peters are measured in lightweight cotton.
What year is this? This is 92.
He saved most of the treasures that were waiting for him at the end of the ajc-Peachtree Road Race. When he ran his first in 1975, the race t-shirt didn't carry the aura that it does today. Eventually, Peters carried his shirt high after each run.
Hold it up. Hold the shirt up, show all the runners. Everybody would be hollering and screaming and yahooing.
Most races come with t-shirts. Only in Atlanta is there mystery and celebrity. Most races award the garment to anyone who enters. At the Peachtree, you have to finish.
I don't know of any road race, any marathon in the world that does their t-shirt distribution, awarding, design in the way that we do here.
There was no t-shirt for runners in the first Peachtree. For a while, only a limited number of finishers received a cool cotton prize. Now there's enough for everyone. Until 1994, race organizers were responsible for the design of the shirt. Since then, Atlanta has voted on designs submitted by artists like Shay Harbaugh. Her work appeared on the 2016 version.
It's a huge part of the city and history and tradition, and just that feeling of knowing like I'm a part of that. It's an amazing feeling that I'm still grateful for.
Who needs a large? Who needs a large? And like a great unveiling, the shirt design is kept a secret until that first finisher receives their reward.
If you go to the Braves game, if you now go to the United game, if you go to barbecues, the vast majority of people that you see are wearing their finisher shirt.
In Atlanta, a cotton garment is a celebration. Everyone who wears it, a celebrity.
Coming up in a little bit, we'll meet the greatest secret keepers in the city, the group that packs the t-shirts in advance of the race. This year, the 5 finalists for the t-shirt contest were chosen ahead of time. They're designed by Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, the Braves. The first winner, Jeff Galloway, author Emily Giffen, and the Hawks.
We will be out there with Harry the Hawk, our Hawks dancers, and our flight crew, which is our group of brand ambassadors, bringing that Hawks in-game experience out to the Peachtree Road Race.
Everything starts somewhere, and for the 50th running of the ajc-Peachtree Road Race, that somewhere is outside Lenox Mall.
It is an ever-evolving process, one that's way more complicated than just firing a starter pistol. Cheryl Preheim, queen of the start line, takes us behind the scenes.
Flying Pig Marathon.
Trophies and ribbons overwhelm the shelves. A lifetime of accomplishments for Tommy Owens.
I've run 80 marathons.
But running was never about the accolades. It's always been about the experience.
Really a special time.
It's why he gave 20 years to the Peachtree Road Race.
Running Peachtree with my son Greg in 1988.
An experience like none other. And it all starts here.
One of the most iconic spots.
Tommy, the start coordinator, and a team of volunteers would transform the crosswalk by Lenox Square in 6 hours flat. Starting at midnight,
all 60,000 participants are here at one time.
Ready when the first racers arrived.
It's the beginning of the party. Everybody's jittery, ready to go. And then we've got our giant flag that goes up right over the street. It's 6 stories tall. There's just something magical about that.
Its magic has never changed. Just about everything else has.
That whole lot over there used to be all grass. So I've heard stories from the start director who used a push mower to mow that before we put in porta-john.
There was an old Delta ticketing counter at the start line. The volunteer would be on the phone with a payphone down at the finish line in downtown Atlanta. When the gun went off, the volunteer on the Delta ticket counter would yell, "Go!" and the guy at downtown would start all the stopwatches.
Way to go, gals. Way to go.
Years ago, Tommy would give the signal to start, then sprint.
It used to be that the starter would stand right in the middle here at Peachtree Road.
A bullhorn in one hand and the start cap in the other hand. I would try to get out of the way, and I said, please don't run over me. And then I would try to run like crazy.
It was dangerous, for sure.
From 100 runners to 60,000, even Georgia Tech engineer students had an input on how to best handle the growing crowds.
We had a camera on top of a couple of buildings, and we had a spotter up there. And so I was able, with the walkie-talkie, to tell when to start moving groups to the actual start line.
When our country changed, The start line changed too.
After 9/11, Homeland Security came and met with our committee. So we had a lot of their personnel wandering around the start. We outfit them in volunteer T-shirts.
A celebration for everybody in Atlanta.
Now you're there.
It is for Tommy Owens what it is for so many others, an experience.
It's a family affair, feel.
An event that feels like Atlanta and feels like the best of us, start to finish.
That feel of the entire city embracing something.
It's what Peachtree really is about.
As for the finish line, where we will be, everything funnels into Piedmont Park.
It is a great scene. It's where you get your T-shirt, but also where you get your water, snacks, and meet up with your loved ones.
Throughout the years, it's been a mud pit, it's been a dust bowl, it's certainly been a bucket list item for any Atlantan.
The finish of the Peachtree Road Race is one of the great spectacles, and those that haven't ever seen it are really missing something. I encourage everybody to do it at least once in their lifetime.
In 2008, the race didn't finish at Piedmont Park due to a drought. They moved the finish line to Juniper and Ponce, and it was a strange sight indeed.
Coming up while we enjoy the race here in Atlanta on Independence Day, hundreds of military members are taking part overseas.
I'm grateful for all the other service people that are still out there. They're heroes.
Plus, they are the secret sauce behind such a successful race. We'll talk volunteers.
The Peachtree Road Race has changed my life.
And did you know you can get blessed while chugging your way down Peachtree Street?
When I'm blessing all the runners of the Peachtree Road Race, they represent all of America.
Coming up, we'll take a run through Jesus Junction. And as we go to break, let's jump back to 1983. The late Jim Huber anchoring coverage for 11 Alive.
Let's go to Skycam and Bruce Arian for an overview of the race. Bruce?
Hey, Jim, you don't suppose they would have a T-shirt that says I flew the Peachtree, do you?
I think so.
The big activity is here off our left wing. Look on down here where they're trying to organize the area where they give out the T-shirts and so on. What a mass of humanity down there, and the logistics really has to be a headache down there as they try to get people in the right lines to give out those T-shirts and so on. And try to remember, if you can, that back 14 years ago, 110 people, and look at it now.